So the decision to extend eThekwini Mayor Zandile Gumede's special leave has divided the ANC in the province. As you've heard, this morning municipal staff had to be removed from their offices after Gumede's supporters marched on the City Hall to demand her return. Opposition parties fear that the paralysis in the council will disrupt service delivery. Joining us to discuss the issue further is political analyst Imran Bukis. He's in our Durban studios this afternoon. Good afternoon to you. Thank you for your time. So how big a problem does the ANC have on its hands?
Well, it certainly is a big problem, but I think it might be important to trace the context here slightly. I think this entire Zandile Gumede fiasco has thrown the City Council into disarray. And it's a hopelessly dysfunctional council right now. But this didn't begin, just with Zandile Gumede. It began a while ago. And I think from the time that people like City Manager Michael Sutcliffe had left and others, there was a whole strata of skilled people that have left the municipality. And that created huge problems. So I think deployment in this context was fine, but we haven't seen skilled people at the core of the public service. And bearing in mind that local governance and, here the Durban municipality is the sort of central pivot of a society building exercise, this certainly is a huge, huge problem. It's obviously tied up to factional politics, and much has been said about that already. And Zandile Gumede holds huge political clout in KZN and in the municipality, and I think that makes very much the political configuration swayed in her favor. And I think in some ways, that makes it difficult for the PEC to act. And we've seen today the protests in the city, and I think those protests also sway the configuration in her favor. So it becomes a really convoluted set of factors that are driven by factional politics that are impacting on delivery and the well-being of citizens in eThekwini.
Let me ask you this then, Imran. Do you believe, looking at the situation in eThekwini today, that the absence of Zandile Gumede and, of course, the unfolding drama around this criminal case against her places service delivery in eThekwini at genuine risk? Or do you understand that the acting mayor and the team that remains in office will be able to move on with the delivery of services?
No, I don't think so. I think it is a really difficult situation. I think there are narratives of a mafia council at play. I think there are narratives of how the looting of the public purse occurs and how people who are favored are given contracts and how all of this is tied up to political battles. And I think, like I said earlier, the Mayor Zandile Gumede holds huge political sway. And we've seen over 60 councillors that are implicated with her. And I think that adds to the kind of toxic politics of patronage. And I don't think it's a political situation where an acting mayor can just come in and seamlessly go on with the job of service delivery. I think the case of Gumede will have to be addressed. I think it becomes a case of not being prudent to act against her in the face of the political clout that she holds. And I think one would have to wait for the court case that I'm told is scheduled for August. But then also, unless there's a real paper trail and unless there's strong evidence against her, my sense is that much of the configuration remains stacked in her favor.
So, Imran, given what you just outlined as far as the ANC's dynamics provincially in KZN, is this the time then for the party's national leadership to take some sort of action, some sort of intervention?
Well, my sense would be that the protocol would demand that the PEC acts first. And I think, like I pointed out, they find themselves in a really difficult situation. It's hard to act against someone who holds the sort of political power that she does. But yes, I would guess that if it becomes really difficult for the PEC to act, it might soon be time for national players to intervene and to ensure that we move forward. I think the sort of toxicity of local governance in South Africa, and in this case in eThekwini particularly, is really worrying. Like I said earlier, this is the central pivot of a society building exercise. This is where people expect service delivery. And if this is not addressed, I think protest will continue, service delivery will become further fragmented, and I think this doesn't speak well for the vision that our president has of building a competent state. How do you build a competent state when the kind of local governance structures are really fragmented and struggling? So I think this really sort of impedes the national narrative and the national imperative of building competency in South Africa.
Political analyst Imran Buyekes, thank you so much for your time this afternoon.